Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Mr. Kovault, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to complete conversion factors. So in this example, in this video, I'm going to talk about if you're given conversion factors and you're asked to complete the conversion factor, how do you go about doing that? So let's get into this. So for A, we have 1 kilometer, and that is being related to meters. So we need to figure out, well, how many meters are in 1 kilometer to get our conversion factor? Because remember, the top and the bottom should be equal to each other. And so if it's a metric to metric unit, you have to remember what the prefixes mean, especially if you are comparing a base unit to a prefix unit like we have here for A. So here I have kilometer, that's a prefix kilo, and then I have the base unit meter. So in this case, it's really easy. I have to know what the prefix is. Here, kilo, I know that means 1,000. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So this is 1,000 or 10 to the third. So you could write 1,000 there, or you could write 10 to the third. It doesn't matter. So here I have completed this conversion factor. And that's really all there is to it if it's a metric to metric conversion between a prefix unit and the base unit. So if we look at B, we have the same thing. We have the base unit gram and we have nanogram N. You have to remember that the little n in front of the base unit abbreviation is going to be your prefix. So just like here, I have K in front of M, so KM is kilometer. And G you should remember is gram. So I have G for gram. N is the prefix, so that's nano. So I have to remember what nano means. So 1 gram is equal to how many nanograms? Well, if I remember what nano means, nano is 1 billionth of whatever unit I'm looking at, or 10 to the negative 9. So I should know that 1 nanogram is equal to 10 to the negative 9 grams. Okay, so why? Because nano means 10 to the negative 9. 1 nanogram is 10 to the negative 9, or 1 billionth of a gram. So 1 billionth of a gram, 10 to the negative 9 grams. But you'll notice here that they're not giving me 1 nanogram, right, is equal to 10 to the negative 9 grams. They're giving me 1 gram. So 1 gram. So my rule of thumb is that if you had to create the conversion factor from scratch using your metric units, then I would always put the 1 with the prefix unit, because I know whatever that prefix means, I'm going to put the multiplier with the base unit. But in this case, I didn't get to choose. They chose for me. So they put the 1 with the base unit. So what do? How do you figure this out? Well, if you put the 1 with the base unit, then this is going to have to go to the other side, except you need to change the sign. So that's easy to remember if you can remember that, well, nanograms is smaller unit compared to grams. So I need to know how many of these are going to fit into 1 gram. So 1 gram, nanograms are much smaller than grams. So how many of these are going to fit into this? It's got to be a positive number. So you're going to change the sign. So if I put the 1 with the base unit, then all I do is I take this and I change the sign of the 9. So it's, instead of a negative 9, it's a positive 9. And that's nanograms. So 1 gram is equal to 10 to the positive 9 nanograms. So notice, if the 1 is with the prefix unit, then you just replace whatever the prefix means, whatever that multiplier is, you put that with the base unit. But if the 1 is with the base unit, then you take that multiplier, put it with the prefix unit, but change the sign. If the sign is negative over here, you put it positive over here. If it's positive over here, you put it negative over here. So since this is what I need to complete, this is going to be 10 to the 9 nanograms. Okay. Next, we have mile and kilometer. So notice we have an English unit with a metric unit. This is not going to be so simple. So either you know what this means, or you've memorized this, or you'll have to do conversions. So if you do conversions, you can do any conversions you want as long as you know that the conversions you're using work. So I can convert 1 mile to kilometers. So if I start with 1 mile, then I can convert miles to feet, right? So I can convert miles to feet. So I put 1 mile on the bottom, 5,280 feet on top. And then what I can do is I can convert feet to inches, right? So 1 foot on the bottom, 12 inches on top. So miles cancels out, feet cancels out. Now I have inches. I can convert inches to centimeters. I'm going to continue down here for room's sake. So inches on the top. So I know that 1 inch on the bottom is equal to 2.54 centimeters on the top. So inches are going to cancel out. And now I can convert centimeters to meters. So on the bottom, I can put, let's see, centimeter is, I can put 1 centimeter. So 1 centimeter on the bottom. And I know centi is 1/100th, or 10 to the negative 2. So that's going to be 10 to the negative 2 meters. And then finally, I'll continue down here for the sake of room. I can convert meters to kilometers or kilometers. Kilo means 1,000. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So I'm going to put 1,000 meters, or 10 to the 3 meters on the bottom, and 1 kilometer on top. So now meters cancels out, centimeters cancels out, everything cancels out except for meters. Now all I need to do is multiply by everything on the top, divide by everything on the bottom, and I should get my answer in kilometers. And if you already knew, it's 1.609 kilometers. So that's the way you can go about solving excuse me, this conversion factor. If you have a English unit being compared to a metric unit, you'll just have to convert using conversion factors, unless you already know what this is. So some of you may know, some of you may not, but that is the way to go about it if you don't know off the top of your head what the conversion is. Okay, here we have metric to metric again. Here we have 1 centimeter to millimeters. So here we don't simply have a prefix unit to a base unit. Here we're comparing 2 metric units that are both prefix units. So you can't simply look up the prefix meanings or the prefix multipliers and do that sort of thing. It's a little bit more difficult. One way you could do this is you could use the mnemonic device, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. What do I mean by that? Well, each letter of the words in that phrase count for a a particular prefix multiplier or prefix. So King, K, Henry, H, died, D, oops, make that capital D. King Henry died by, that's the base unit, drinking, D, chocolate, C, milk, M. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. So each letter, at the beginning of each word, the letter at the beginning of each word stands for the symbol for a prefix. And so here we have K for kilo, H for hecta, D for deca, B for base unit, no prefix, D for deci, C for centi, and M for milli. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And so the way you can figure this out is I want to go from centi to milli. So here's centi. So I'm going to move from centi to milli this way. So I'm going to move over to the right one time to go from centi to milli. And what do I do here? I do that with the decimal point. So here I have 1. The decimal point is there. I'm going to move the decimal point over 1 to the right, same like I did here. And I'm going to fill in the gap with a 0. So I went from 1 to 10. So now I have 10. So 1 centimeter is the same as 10 millimeters. And so I put a 10 there. And so that is how you can figure that out as well. The other way is to use conversion factors, right? So whenever you're converting between two metric units with prefixes, you have to use the base unit as a middleman, right? So I'm going to take 1 centimeter over 1. I'm going to convert that to meters, the base unit. So on the bottom, I'm going to have 10 to the negative 2 centimeters. Oops, my bad, not that. It's going to be 1 centimeter. I always put 1 with the prefix unit. 1 centimeter, and it's going to be 10 to the negative 2 meters because centi is 1/100th of a meter. So 10 to the 2 is 1/100th. So I'm putting that on top with meters. So centimeters cancels out. And now I can convert meters to millimeters. And so again, I'm going to have meters on the bottom. So 1 millimeter goes on top. And then milli is 1/1000th of the base unit. So that would be 1/1000th of a meter. So it would be 10 to the negative 3 meters. So meters cancels out. So now all I need to do is multiply by everything on the top, divide by everything on the bottom, and I can get my answer. It's going to be basically 10 to the negative 2 over 10 to the negative 3. So for those of you who don't have a calculator and need to do this, remember your powers, your rules for powers. So if you have the same base 10, and you're dividing, then you're going to subtract the bottom exponent from the top exponent. So then it becomes 10 to the negative 2, and it's going to be minus 3. Minus and minus becomes a plus. So that's going to be 10 minus 2 plus 3. And basically that's going to be 10 to the power of 1, which is 10. So that's what we got before. So there's a couple of ways to go about doing that. Okay, next. Here we have quarts and liters. So again, we can convert quarts into liters to figure out how many liters are equal to 1 quart, or if you already know this, you can already fill it in. But let's go ahead and convert. So what you can do is, there's a lot of different ways that you can convert this. You can use whatever conversion factors you want that you know that are going to give you the answer. You're going to start with 1 quart over 1. And the first thing you can use is, well, we know that 4 quarts are in a gallon. Okay. So we can then take 4 quarts. We can put 4 quarts on the bottom, 1 gallon on top. And then from there, if you know the relationship between gallons and liters, you can use that. And that's going to be 1 gallon is equal to 3.785. That's going to be liters. Okay. And so then when you calculate that out, you get 0.9463. So 0.9463 liters. So again, quarts cancels out, gallons cancels out, leaves you with liters. And so you can put that down here. Again, you didn't have to use this. You could went from gallons to some other unit. You didn't have to start with quarts. But as long as you're using conversion factors and you end up with the liters you want, then you should get pretty much the same answer. So then this becomes 0.9463 liters. Okay, next we have more metric. Okay, so here we have 1 metric ton equals 2 kilograms. This might be one where you just need to memorize it. A metric ton by definition is going to be 1,000 kilograms. That is true by definition. So it's kind of like knowing that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. It's just what it is. That's by definition to be the case. So the metric ton is different from the English ton. For those of you who may be familiar with the English ton, 1 English ton is going to be equal to 2,000 pounds exactly. 1 metric ton is equal to 1,000 kilograms exactly. So this one is going to be 1,000 kilograms. Okay, next we have 1 gram and we have micrograms. So this is a prefix unit to a base unit. They're both metric units. So the way I would start out, again, normally if this was me, if I was supposed to come up with this from scratch, I would put the 1 with the prefix unit and then put the prefix multiplier with the base unit like this. So I would put 1 with microgram. And then what does micro mean? Well, micro means 1/1,000,000th of a particular unit, right? So we saw before we had nano, right? Nano is 1/1,000,000th of that unit. Micro is 1/1,000,000th of that unit. Well, 1/1,000,000th is 10 to the negative 6. And that's going to be 10 to the negative 6 grams, right? But in this case, they put the 1 with the metric, with the base unit. But so we're going to have to do what I said before. If the 1 is with the base unit, then you're going to have to take the multiplier and put it with the prefix unit on the other side, but change the sign. And here the sign is negative, so we're going to have to change that to positive. So then it becomes 10 to the positive 6 micrograms is equal to 1 gram. So this is this. So I'm going to put 10 to the positive 6 up there. And so that is the completed conversion factor with grams and micrograms. Again, here we have metric to metric. So we have gigaliters and liters. So here gigaliters, that's going to be 1 with the prefix unit. That's the way I would set it up. So all I need to do is figure out what giga means. So if for those of you who are familiar with data measurements, right, we all have heard of kilobytes, bytes of information. So a kilobyte is 1,000 bytes of data, right? So then what comes after kilo? It's going to be mega, right? Megabytes of information, right? So my file is this many megabytes. So mega means 1 million bytes. So we're going from 1,000, and then we multiply that by 1,000, we get 1,000,000. And then what's after mega? Gigabytes, right? And so we're going to multiply that by 1,000. So mega is 1,000,000. Giga is 1 billion, or 10 to the 9 bytes. So 10 to the 9 is going to be our answer here. So 1 gigaliter is equal to 10 to the 9, or 1 billion liters. So 10 to the 9 liters. Okay, next we have seconds and PS. You may not have seen PS before, but P is for pico. So we're talking about picoseconds here. So 1 second is equal to how many picoseconds? So here, the 1 is with the base unit, the prefix unit we have to figure out. So again, the way I usually do it is I put the 1 with the prefix unit. So 1 PS, 1 picosecond is going to be equal to how many seconds? Well, what does pico mean, right? So we've seen micro, right? So we got micro here, that we said that was 1/1,000,000th, 1/1,000,000th of the base unit. And then we saw nano. Nano was 1/1,000,000th of the base unit, right? So that was 10. This is 10 to the negative 9. I'm sorry, 10 to the negative 6 for micro, 10 to the negative 9 for nano. And then what comes after nano? Pico. And so pico is 1,000 times smaller. So if you were to divide by 1,000, you would get the next number, which is 10 to the negative 12. So 10 to the negative 12. Oops, let me fix that. 10 to the negative 12 seconds. So, but we don't have 1 picosecond, we have 1 second. So again, I'm going to put the 1 on this side, and I'm going to take this and put it on this side. But when I do, I change the sign from negative to positive. So this would be 10 to the positive 12. So 1 trillion picoseconds is equal to 1 second. So then here is what we put in. So we put in 10 to the positive 12 picoseconds. And last but not least, we have 1 meter is equal to centimeters. Again, we have the 1 with the base unit, now with the prefix unit. So we'll start with what I like to do. So I like to put the 1 with the centimeter with the prefix. And then that's going to be equal to centimeter. So what is centi? Centi is 1/100th, or 10 to the negative 2. So 10 to the negative 2 meters. So 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. But again, I have 1 with the meter. So if I put the 1 on this side, then I got to take this and put it with this side with the prefix unit. But when I do, you change the sign. In this case, I have a negative, so I'm going to make it positive over here. So 1, or 10 to the positive 2 is equal, or centimeters is equal to 1 meter. 10 to the positive 2 is the same as 100. So 1 meter is equal to 10 to the positive 2 centimeters, or 100 centimeters. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you go about completing the conversion factor if you're ever asked to do that. And then once you complete it, you can use this as a conversion factor to solve problems. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like the video, share the video, hit that like button somewhere around here. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell. When you do, make sure you click all so you'll be notified by all the videos I put out. Finally, put a comment down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Ask me questions. I would love to hear from you. If you have a topic you want me to cover, if you have a particular question or problem you need help with, put that down below. I would love to help you with that. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.